sim racers from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beasts wheel to wheel around the hallowed grounds. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet, the perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series presented by Next Level Racing starts now.
The Lionheart Retro Series returns once more for round 11 here in the desert. It's the Majors Garage Phoenix 175 here from Phoenix, Arizona, at this circuit that is often so hard to pass, at a circuit that has provided so many cautions throughout the previous years in the Lionheart Retro Series. It's back again with its three or four turns, dogleg and all. It's time to go racing on this legacy layout of the Phoenix Raceway. Hello everybody, welcome along to RaceSpotTV. My name is Ewan O'Leary, alongside Joey Tebben, here with Hugo Louise behind the cameras here this evening. We're looking forward to a fantastic race again here, Joey. It's going to be relatively difficult to overtake in years gone by in IndyCar in real life anyway. That may not be the case here tonight. We certainly will see lots of cautions, you would imagine.
That is what history has told us. I believe we saw a statistic earlier in the week that there's never been fewer than 7 cautions here. Historic high is 12 cautions. So this place is known for running a lot of yellow laps. But if you remember back to last week at Iowa, similar track to Phoenix in many, many ways. It was a fairly clean race, only 2 cautions all the way through. Is it possible that we buck the historic trend? Do we make history today, Ewan? I hope so.
Let's jump into the schedule brought to you by NLR, and you can see that we're approaching the halfway mark now. In fact, we will be at the halfway mark at the end of this round. Still plenty of races to go. And over the last couple, Joey, we've had a real mix-up in schedule. It's been going from Fuji to Iowa to Phoenix, which couldn't get a lot different, really.
Yeah, that's the magic of the Lionheart Retro Series. It's sort of modeled after American open wheel racing, despite the fact that the Lotus 79 did compete in Formula One, but we've kind of discovered over the many years of this series that it is suited to oval racing and to road course racing. You've got to be a master of all the types of tracks to be successful in this series. That's why you see the likes of Sean Campbell, Phil Krause at the top of the table. They're strong road course drivers, they're strong oval drivers. You need both.
If you're a strong oval driver, though, you'll need to just suffer through the next few rounds, because we've got 3 road courses in a row with Mosport, Barber and Phillip Island coming up. The next oval will be at the end of September. Really got to make use of Phoenix here tonight. Let's jump forward to our driver's standings, also brought to you by NLR, and you can see that Sean Campbell is at the top of the standings at the moment in terms of total points. Michael O'Brien is 43 back with David Surwa in third place. Then it's Phil Krause and Mike Razamas running out the top 5. Matt Taylor is the next driver, and the last driver to be over 400 points with Chris Fowler and Tyler Graff, 7th and 8th. Samuel Fontaine and Cristobal Valenzuela round out the top 10 in the drivers' standings. In the team standings, brought to you by HyperX, it's Zubi Graphics LC, who are currently leading by quite some distance over their sister team. Raven Lavoie Motorsport are next, just over 1,000 points ahead of Backfire Motorsports, and Unacceptable Racing, who are inside the top 5 as well in your team standings. Your rookie standings, which are brought to you by Bookkicker, look very, very similar to the overall standings. Sean Campbell and Phil Krause at the top of here. Samuel Fontaine also into the top 10 overall, fighting for those rookie standings as well here, Jerry. I mean, they could just as well look like the overall standings by the end of this, with Campbell and Krause fighting for the rookies as well.
Yeah, certainly not rookies in, the other places in the world of iRacing, and honestly not necessarily rookies in the world of Lionheart racing. Sean Campbell also competes in the sports car side. Phil Krause, last season's champion in the Lionheart IndyCar series, so they're very, very successful rookies. But you also consider that, Fernando Alonso, Romain Grosjean, Jimmy Johnson, they were all rookies at one point in real life too, so I guess there's historic precedent.
Absolutely. Let's move forward to series details brought to you by GSI. This is the 10th year of the of Lionheart in its entirety. 7th season of the Lionheart Retro Series. As we know, 79 fixed setup or custom fixed setup here for this series. The Triple Crown is 2/3 of the way through. Auto Club Speedway still to come at the end of the season. Defending series champion Mike Razamas is inside the top 10 of the standings, as we've just seen, and the team's champions Mavworks are doing all right in terms of defending their title for the moment, as we've just seen in those team standings. Let's bring forward our event details brought to you by Arena here for the Phoenix round tonight. It's the 5th time we've visited this circuit in 7 years. This track notorious for lots of caution periods, as Joey said, fewest 7 earlier on, and this did set a record at the time for most cautions with 11, or joint most at the time. That record has now been extended to 12 with elsewhere. Pole position has only been converted into HyperX victory lane once, but that was fairly recently. Highest number of cautions is there for you, 11. Back in Season 3. And Saith Karim is your defending race winner. In fact, in the last few editions, actually, we've seen alternating seasons where this track has been included or not. So it's been included in Season 3, 5, and now 7 over the course of the last 5 years. So that's the general trend that we have been going for. So qualifying is not too far away. It's going to be very, very important indeed. But before we get to that, let's just tell you about the sponsors that make the Lionheart Retro Series and our coverage of it possible. Starting with HyperX. The Lionheart Retro Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit www.hyperx.com. Next Level Racing is an industry-leading cockpit and motion simulator manufacturer devoted to creating the most immersive experience possible for the global sim racing community. Take your racing to the next level and visit nextlevelracing.com. And of course, Butt Kicker. You're passionate about sim racing, but it always feels a little flat compared to the feeling of driving a real car. Now you can actually feel what it's like to drive a race car. With Butt Kicker, haptics, hardware and software are easy to install and let you feel every bump in the track, slip of your tyre and engine redline. The tactile feedback is so accurate and realistic, you'll be driving faster and having more fun than ever before. Visit thebuttkicker.com. Broadcast also brought to you by the BMW Performance Centre. If you think sim racing is thrilling, try getting behind the wheel of a real race car. The BMW M4 GT4 experience at the BMW Performance Driving School in Thermal, California puts you in the cockpit of one of BMW's fastest cars, compete with roll cage and racing slicks. You'll get fitted with a racing suit, practice pit stops and lap their track with pro instructors. Nothing virtual about their thrills. To book your M4 GT4 experience, call or visit the links on screen now. Gomez Sim Industries are makers of high-end esports equipment and controls, precision built using nothing but the best materials available today. Passion and handmade craftsmanship drive each made to order build creating a driving experience like no other. Visit GomezSimIndustries.com. Arena is an all-new esports streaming service driven by real-time interactions between gamers and their communities. Arena brings live broadcast fan engagement to the next level. Get involved and make a difference on arena.tv. And finally, this broadcast brought to you by Graphics. From simple logos to full branding for your company, virtual designs to liveries raced by Indy 500 champions, Graphics offers the finest quality with a wide range of design services. Visit www.graphicsesports.com. A big thanks to all of the sponsors who make the Lionheart Retro Series and our coverage here on RaceSpotTV of LOS possible here over the course of this 22 race season. Practice is not long from its completion, and we're getting set to go qualifying here, Joey. As I mentioned earlier on, this is the 2008 legacy layout of this circuit. Oh my goodness me, that's a crash on the front straight at the moment. This is the 2008 layout with not quite such a an open feel to it. It's got the grass instead of the open dogleg that we used to have. That we do have now. It's got the start-finish line in what some people would say is the correct position. It's got a few differences to the modern-day Phoenix Raceway that we know these days.
It certainly makes it easier for us in the booth, Ewan, to know that turn 1 at Phoenix is actually turn 1. You know, turn 2 is actually turn 2. That gets really confusing with the new layout of Phoenix. But here, still nice and simple. Into turn 1 we go. Then you would say turn 2. I'd consider the dog leg to be turn 3. And then potentially turns 4 and 5 coming out of the final corner. But that gets into the Pocono debate of how many corners this track is, which is always difficult. You see, it's not the widest track in the world. It's not the most steeply banked track in the world, but it is definitely easy or possible at least to pass in these cars with the ground effect, with the reduced amount of dirty air compared to some modern open wheel cars. It is definitely possible to get a run, but there's no tire wear in these cars. There's basically negative tire wear. As the run goes on, these cars get faster, and that does make it difficult to pass.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about that in terms of how you think this race is going to go. Normally in IndyCar, especially over the last 5-10 years or so, we've seen pretty boring races here, in all honesty. We've seen single file, very difficult to pass, lots of dirty air, and not much going on. Now, what are we going to see here in the Lionheart Retro Series? Because very rarely do you get a boring Lionheart Retro Series race. These cars race very well, and yeah, I wonder what kind of race, what kind of Phoenix Raceway racetrack we're going to see here tonight.
Well, that is the question. If we think back to Iowa last week, that didn't race very well. A lot of the drivers would tell you that, but we still had a very, very exciting race. We had drivers tripping over each other for the lead. We had some lapped cars getting involved. There's always the possibility for calamity and chaos at short tracks. We've seen it every time we've come to this track in the past. Even if it does become difficult to pass, there tends to be something that goes on that shakes up the order.
And that is practice complete. We're now into qualifying, and that brings to an end our pre-race coverage brought to you by Bookkicker. We move forward now with qualifying, and Tyler Graff, who's clearly had a false start there and wants to go back to pit lane to change something before going out again. Just 5 minutes around here, Joey, which would otherwise be quite constraining, but around an oval like this, it shouldn't be a concern at all. We go on board with reigning champion Mike Rasmus as he weaves around to try and get some temperature into those tyres. He tries to get himself up to speed for the best qualifying lap possible.
Yeah, that's basically what the meta here in qualifying is. Get as much heat into the tires as humanly possible on lap 1, and then use all the speed built up on lap number 2. He's running the high line through 3 and 4 here to build up as much speed onto the front stretch. Got a little bit wide in the final corner there. I don't know if he had to lift to stay out of the wall. I think he scraped the wall a little bit into turn 1 there. Has to be careful not to get a 0x contact penalty here. Through the dog leg, hits the apex. There's a big curb there. You don't necessarily want to ride it because it'll reduce your speed. Then into 3 and 4 for the final time, painting the yellow line. Some drivers go for a late apex. Some drivers keep it stuck to the bottom. That's one lap for Rasmus. It's a blink and it's over.
23.0 is the time for Rasmus. Oh, 23.6, excuse me. Can't read. For Rasmus there. He's won 8 Lionheart Retro Series races as the reigning champion, but never here at Phoenix. David Sirois currently setting the pace then. It's 23.1, but that's quickly going to be eclipsed by the likes of Chris Fowler, who now goes to the front. Tyler Graff in the 98 goes fastest. Just 200ths of a second, 100th of a second even, between 1 and 2 at the moment. It's exactly what you'd expect from a circuit like this. Qualifying exceptionally close as Christopher goes over the line. 16th place for him. Unfortunately, that's a little bit further back than maybe he would have liked here this evening. But 100th of a second between 1 and 2, and barely anything to choose between the top 10.
Yeah, that's what we come to expect in the Lionheart Retro Series. Minuscule margins. If you look from 1st down to 10th, down to 12th for that matter, there's not even a 10th in it from Tyler Graff down to Sam Ryman. It is ridiculously close. There goes Chris Stouffer to make it even more drivers within a 10th. Valenzuela up into 13th as well. Watching Hugo Galaz on the track right now in what's got to be one of my favorite liveries in the field. Very old school with those golden colors. He's going to bring it through the final corner here. Better apex, I think, at least from the outside view, than Rasmus got there. This looks like a decent run. It isn't at the line, though. It's quite slow, but we'll see what he can do on lap number 2.
We will. He's going to need to find another half second here. Will Galaz, and we'll see what line he chooses to employ through 3 and 4, if you want to call it 3 and 4. The dogleg sort of not counting really in our numbers. Keeping it tight to the bottom is Galaz, as we see a new fastest time from David Rodriguez. Galaz will go over the line. He'll be outside the top 20, unfortunately, but David Rodriguez with the fastest time right now. 15 thousandths of a second faster than Tyler Graff, as Matt Wagner now makes his way to the line as well, one of the rookies out there on the circuit. Let's see what he can do here on his qualifying lap. He's left it late with a minute and a half, but he'll have plenty of time to complete these 2 laps.
And Wagner's gone for an interesting strategy here. He did lap number 1, then towed, went back to the pits, did another out lap, and now he's doing a second run entirely here. Out of the final corner he comes. I don't actually think he completed a first lap, so this is just a build-up lap for speed, and now he's on the clock for his first timed lap into turn 1. Does he make the bottom? Yes, he does. Definitely built up some speed there. Ran the high line in 3 and 4, and now he's on the clock for real. He's got no more chances after this.
Absolutely, this is last chance now for Matt Wagner. Round 3 and 4, he'll go, painting that yellow line, staying as close to the inside as possible, shortening that distance to the line here for Wagner. It's a good time. It is a good time, and it will send him to 11th. Not quite the top 10 for the 2 car, but it's a very good time as Luis Gonzalez Nunez makes his way to the line. Also, is that pole possibly? Oh, it is at the end. Nunez takes pole in the dying moments of qualifying. The 14 with a somewhat surprise pole position.
And that's a huge lap. If you look how close the field is, Nunez has pulled 30 thousandths of a second over David Rodriguez. Go down 30 thousandths from him, you have to go down to 7th with Rodrigo Munoz. So that was a massive lap from Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Kind of showing up the field there.
Absolutely. 2 surprises down the back, by the way, and we'll see that in a few moments with our starting grid, but 78 thousandths of a second separate the top 10, and a surprise pole for Luis Gonzalez Nunez out there on the circuit. What a fantastic lap it was as well for him there. Fantastic. Let's see with your starting grid, brought to you by Bookkicker. Luis Gonzalez Nunez at the front alongside David Rodriguez. Tyler Graff and Chris Fowler on row 2, ahead of Michael O'Brien and Alex Gugnon on row 3. Row 4 will have Rodrigo Munoz and series leader Sean Campbell, with Ricky Hardin and Samuel Fontaine 10th place in this qualifying session. Matt Taylor and Matt Wagner will share row 6 together, with 13th place being made up by Daniel Zegers. Daniels will be 14th, with Christopher Anzaldo will alongside him. David Sirois and Cristobal Valenzuela are on row 9, ahead of Samuel Ryman and Andrew Woods, rounding out the top 20. Drew White and Christopher Hill are on the row behind them, with Jimbo Pfeiffer and Craig Forsyth on row 12. Hugo Galaz is 25th, ahead of a disappointed Phil Kraus down there in 26th. Mike Razimas 27th, ahead of Jeff Heisung and Richard Hearn, rounding out the 29 car grid. Well, so 2 surprises at the back there. Phil Kraus and Mike Razimas, towards the back. As the pre-race show brought to you by Bookkicker comes to an end, let's take you through the onboard cameras that we're going to have over the course of the evening tonight, starting with Luke Daniels, who will carry the Majors Garage onboard camera. He's starting down in 14th place in the starting grid for the moment, and we'll be riding with him throughout the day from 14th place. Brought to you by Majors Garage, your number 1 source for iRacing setups. Visit majorsgarage.com. We'll also be able to ride on board with Christopher, who's in the 13. He's in a similar region in the midfield for the moment. And we'll be able to ride on board with him with the Next Level Racing onboard camera. Take your racing to the next level. Visit nextlevelracing.com. Also, Chris Fowler in the 20 Donate Life onboard camera. Learn more about organ, eye and tissue donation and register today at donatelife.net. And finally, we have Richie Hearn in the Hyprex onboard camera. Whatever you play, however you play, Hyprex knows we're all gamers, and Hyprex is always ready to game. There he is, bringing up the rear of the field. There are your onboard cameras here for the evening. It's the Majors Garage 1275 here, Joey. Round 11 of the Lionheart Retro Series. We've had a surprising qualifying. What are we going to see over the course of 175 laps in the desert?
I mean, either way, it's going to be a surprise. If we have a clean race all the way through, that's going to be a surprise based on history. And if we have a little bit of a caution fest, we could end up with a surprise winner. So either way, we're in for a fantastic race. We've got drivers high in the championship from the back of the field looking to move their way forwards, and a surprise up front. Let's see what happens.
Let's see, it's going to be Luis Gonzalez Nunez in control of this field as he makes his way up towards the line. He holds the inside and he gets us underway, accelerating away in the 14 to lead us to green at Phoenix Raceway. It's Luis Gonzalez Nunez who converts pole position into an early lead here, and he'll continue to put more laps onto his tally that he already has in the Lionheart Retro Series. Prior to today, he's already led 74 in the history of the Lionheart Retro Series. This will be number 75.
Look at the outside coming into the fray already. Michael O'Brien on the bottom in that bright yellow car. That's Alex Guyon on the top in the white and gold, trying to make the outside work. Can't quite get the run he needs. He's got to slot back in line in front of Sean Campbell.
Single file for the leaders at least, but further back it's getting a little bit dicey. Harden and Munoz side by side for 9th and 10th at the moment. The 09 and the 7 absolutely locked together on the exit, and there you can see very close to the wall was Hardin on the exit there. Munoz now going to slip back as Matt Taylor gets around the outside of 1 and 2, and he's going to get some speed here as well. Munoz has found himself in the unfortunate position of stuck up on the inside, and right now he can't seem to stop getting overtaken. He'll now finally slot into line in 11th place.
It's the Matt versus Matt show off of turn 4. You saw Matt Wagner trying to get to the inside of Matt Taylor. Did not work out for him. And there is Luke Daniels making it 3 wide, I believe, on the outside. No, that's Christopher, rather. Still a huge move to the outside, and it looks like he's going to make it work. He's got a huge run coming into 3.
Lap 4 of 175, and we're already going 3 wide for the first time. It's outside for Christopher in the light blue and white. You can see it's going to be just slotting into line Stouffer, who's been overtaken on that occasion. Excuse me, Wagner there, who's been overtaken. Stouffer in there as well. It's all single file from the front as we ride on board with Luke Daniels with this Majors Garage onboard camera. 14th place for Luke Daniels is exactly where he started this race.
Look at him looking to the inside through 3 and 4 there, just basically doing anything he can to run an alternate line. The dirty air, not as bad in these cars as it would be in a modern open wheel car, but you do still want to start hunting. Look for places where you can go to build up a run, try and stay out of the tire tracks in front of the car in front of you, and try and build up a run. It's not working for Luke Daniels, though, riding the bottom here. Wagner's able to build up a big run on the outside, and he just clipped the apron there as well. It's going to scupper his momentum, too.
It is. We ride on board with Daniels, very wide from Wagner again on the right way towards 1 and 2. And you mentioned earlier, Joey, about the minimal banking around here. It sometimes means that there's very minimal different lines used around here, but clearly Wagner showing that you can go and investigate and experiment a little bit with these lines, especially at 1 and 2.
Yeah, turns 1 and 2 are more banked than 3 and 4, so you do see sometimes drivers move into the outside. They're able to make moves. You saw Christopher a little bit earlier, 3 wide up on the top. He was able to build up more momentum and get the run out of the corner, but it is exceptionally difficult to try and build up basically a modern IndyCar style move where you get out of the dirty air, move up to the top, and get a run that way. It's so tough to do. You have to get a run down the front straight and hope you can get to the inside or the outside before the corner starts.
Well, this is a fantastic opening to the race. Just under 10 laps complete, and Luis Gonzalez Nunez leads the field. David Rodriguez seconds, then Tyler Graff, Chris Fowler, Michael O'Brien, your top 5 for the moment. And Nunez coming under a bit of fire now from the 10 of Rodriguez. Just looks to the inside, looks to the outside. Can't make his way through it for the moment. By the way, Munoz has only finished inside the top 5 in the Lionheart Retro Series once, despite leading 74 laps coming into today. He's approaching on 84 by the end of this one. He could well be at 100 by the end of the day. But so often, Joey, we see drivers leading lots of laps and not winning this race. Indeed, back in when was it? A long time ago. It was season 3. Mark Cohn won this race. He only led 30 of the 175 laps that we had on that occasion. Leading laps doesn't exactly mean you're going to win the race.
You're just trying to jinx Luis here before the race even starts, Ewan. But yeah, it's difficult to lead, especially when you haven't necessarily led as many laps as some other drivers in the field. If you are sort of a surprise up front with pole, it's hard to feel the pressure up there. A little bit further back, look at Sam Fontaine around the outside of Sean Campbell. That's not a move you see every day, but it is a move you can make in turn 1, and Fontaine's got some big momentum. He's the top rookie now.
He is top rookie in this race. They're both top 3 rookies from this championship at the moment. Sean Campbell slots in there in 8th place. By the way, a bit further back to give you an update on the other rookie in that top 3 fight, Phil Kraus. He's now down in 23rd. He's at least gained places from where he started this race, but he's given himself such a difficult task today, and so is Mike Razimas. They're both looking for maybe a championship challenge here, with Campbell leading the way. Phil Kraus is currently in the top 3, Mike Razimas in the top 5 in the standings. They've given themselves so much work to do to even get level with Campbell today.
And it's so weird to see Phil Kraus this deep in the field. He's just got an incredible book of experience, both in this car and in the Indy car and in the sports cars, that it's not often you see him have an off day in qualifying, but unfortunately he's dealt himself a bad draw on the grid today. He's got to figure out a way to move his way forward. He's not doing the worst job in the world. He's made up a few spots since the start, but he's definitely looking at the 160 laps left in this race to start making some progress, slowly but surely.
It's going to have to be slow but sure here in this race. By the way, fuel window is 57 to 58 laps. That pretty much puts it at almost exactly a 2-stop. If this race were to run green, you'd maybe have to stretch it a little bit, but with the likely cautions we're going to see, it's going to be about picking the right cautions to pit under and probably making 3 stops at the very least over the course of the evening. Playing cautions is going to be so crucial though, Joey. Staying out of trouble obviously going to be important, but we've still got 28 cars on the lead lap. Not only do you need to pit right so that you get your fuel numbers correct and all that kind of thing, you can't afford to come out of the pit stop phase and restart a race 28.
Yeah, and I'm not going to let you jinx me like that, Ewan. I'm not going to say we'll see a caution soon or we won't see a caution soon, because I know exactly the opposite is going to happen. I'm going to jinx it, but so far it has been fairly clean so far. It has not been 11 caution temperature so far. I don't think we're going to see those big numbers. We could very well break the record and have minimal cautions around today, because it has been very neat and tidy. It's been very clean, and more importantly, it's been very, very single file. We haven't seen pack racing where a little bit of contact is going to destroy a bunch of cars and cause a caution. The only trouble we've seen all night so far is I think Craig Forsyth got into the wall on his own. He's back out on track now, 8 laps down though.
This is the Next Level Racing onboard camera of Chris Stouffer driving the 13, looking for his way through on Matt Taylor and looking for his door of entry to the top 10. Everyone getting a little bit restless here though. You said it's not pack racing, but it is close racing, and it one little moment of hesitance and a little bit of a misjudgment, and it could end in disaster for everybody here. There's a lot of pressure on all of the drivers inside this top 15, 20 or so to run well with one another. Very wide from Harden there through 1 and 2 as he searches for the line. For the moment, everybody's taking wildly different lines through the turns, but then they get into single file again on the straights.
And you do have to remember that these tires are so hard. These Goodyear tires from 1979, you know, they built them good back then. That's when they knew how to build tires that didn't wear, or at least they deliberately built tires that didn't wear. And over the course of the run, these cars only get faster. So if you are running that top line in any other car, that would be scraping tire off more. That would be wearing your tires more if you were running higher and keeping more speed up for more time. But in these cars, that's not the case. You can run the high line as much as you want, and that makes drivers very, very happy a lot of the time when the tires don't wear and they can just go faster.
Christopher around the outside of Matt Taylor, I think, here into 1 and 2. I think he's got it done. Well, not quite done just yet. He has. Now that's Matt Wagner on the outside. Matt Taylor stuck up on the inside in the dark blue, you can see there, and in the yellow and black, it's going to be Wagner through in the 2 car. So often we've seen this. If you're stuck up on the inside, you're really not getting the runs off the turns, and it's sending you backwards again and again. And that's happened to Taylor here, I'm afraid. He's down to 12, a couple of positions lost, and now he's going to get dived again by the 88.
It's Daniel Zeggers to the inside off of 4. Hasn't got the best run in the world, but he is able to stick side by side with him. I think he might be able to send a nose into turn 1. Yes, he is. Taylor was not clear there, couldn't clear him, but now with the run off of turn 2, he should be able to pull down in front, should be able to clear him into 3, but we've got a caution out for the first time.
Well, the fewest cautions were 7 back in Season 5. and that was an average of every 25 laps. Guess what lap it is? It's end of lap 23, just the end of 24 that the caution waves for the first time. We're having a look around to see who has caused it on this occasion, the first of the night. And we'll see who pits and so on in a few moments' time. But at the moment, Joey, it's not immediately obvious who's caused this one.
I think it was Craig Forsyth again, because he's since disconnected. I don't know if this was maybe connected to the damage he got earlier. Maybe he couldn't keep control of the car with the damage. I don't know what happened. We'll try and diagnose, get the autopsy here, but that's the only thing that seems immediately obvious, because everybody else, I'm looking at the other 28 cars on track, and I see 28 clean 79s, and here we go.
We are going to get our answer then. It's a big dive to the inside and a slide job gone wrong, you would say. Could be Craig Forsyth there, but I don't think it is. But anyway, we've got movement in the pit stops and a big moment at the front. Luis Gonzalez Nunez wants to continue leading this race, and Alex Gugnon wants track position as well. But pretty much everybody else is into the pit lane. David Sirois stays out. So does Cristobal Valenzuela looking for some track position. Mike Razamas doing the same. But of the 28 lead lap cars, 23 of them are in pit lane.
Very interesting. It's about a 57-58 lap window, so you still can't make it to the end from here. You would still need to make 2 more stops. So that might be what Nunez and Gouillon and Sirois and all the others who stayed out, they know that everybody's going to have to make the same amount of stops. Taking new tires isn't necessarily going to be the most important thing in the world. This could have been a great call, I think, to stay out here.
It just depends how long the next green flag run goes on for, Joey, because if this next green flag run is 50, 60 laps, then you're going to have to end up pitting under green, and surely even at Phoenix, that's going to send you a lap down, isn't it?
It definitely will, but I think everybody's still in the same situation, because if we think about Nunez and Gouillon, everybody down to Rasmus who stayed out, they're going to have to pit still probably around lap 60 or so, and then come in again late teens, late 100 and teens. Everybody else in the field is going to have to do the same thing, I think, because they're going to have to pit around lap 80 or so and then come in for a splash around lap probably 150 or so. They're going to have to take less fuel in that final stop, but will that be enough to even out the strategies if we go green for 150 more laps?
Well, that is the question. Seems an unlikely prospect at this stage, but you never know. I guess Luis Gonzalez Nunez has also got the problem that when you're the race leader sometimes in these situations, second place will do whatever you don't do. So if Nunez had come in, then everybody might have stayed out, and he could have found himself right at the back, and that's what he really didn't want. At the very least, in this situation, he's still got his track position, even if he is a bit lonely on this strategy for the moment. The alternative, I guess, was Nunez coming in, 23 cars staying out instead of going in, and then he suddenly found himself way outside the top 20, and we know track position is going to be key. Even with the new tyres, Nunez would have found himself stuck at the back, and we might not have seen him at the front ever again.
Yeah, it's impossible to make the right decision, Ewan, on these ovals, especially in a series like this. You're the leader, everybody's going to do the opposite of what you do, and that, personally, is why I don't lead races. That's the only reason.
That is the only... I can agree with that. Certainly. And maybe that's part of the reason why it's been so difficult to actually win from pole here. As I mentioned earlier on, we did see that it's only been done once before. Adam Blocker did it back in season 1, but that was a long time ago now. Luis Gonzalez Nunez looking to do this for the first time in 6 years, which would be quite remarkable. And from this situation as well, would be a story. It's Nunez, Gouillon, Sirois, Valenzuela and Rasmas, the top 5. They all stayed out. The rest of them came into the pit lane under our first caution of the day. You're watching the Majors Garage 175 here from Phoenix Raceway in Arizona, and we are ready to go racing once again. It's the pole sitter Nunez in control of the field. He gets the jump on the rest once again. It's a very similar start to what we saw from him at the very start of this race. Michael O'Brien didn't get off to such a good start. He's got Chris Fowler and Sean Campbell right behind him, as it's side by side for 13th as well. Chris Stouffer going backwards off this restart.
Side by side, deep in the field through the dog leg. Everybody knows it's difficult to pass. They know this is the time to pounce if you can get a run. And look at Daniel Zeggers around the outside of Ricky Harden there. Huge move for him. And almost in the wall. That was Matt Wagner.
And that was 3 wide in the background as well, by the way. Further outside the top 15, and this is where the danger starts to come in. Now you start to realise quite why there are so many cautions in this race down the years. This is the 5th edition, of course, and we've seen so many down the years. Phil Kraus makes up places, though. He's now inside the top 20 for the first time. The 4-car reaching 18th place for the first time, and now finally he's taken quite some time to do it. We're nearly a quarter of the way through, but he is now starting to make some progress.
He is moving. The caution definitely helped. I think he did get 2 spots from 2 people who pitted for repairs. And also that may have given me a theory to who the 2 cars involved were. Jeff Heisong and Drew White both took about 30 seconds of repairs in the pits. So I think they were the 2 cars who brought out that caution earlier. But we almost just saw another one there with Phil Kraus going into turn 1 and Zaldo behind him. Very near contact as everybody checks up into turn 1.
Well, this midfield and towards the back is almost more exciting than the leaders at the moment, who are still single file. That's Rodrigo Munoz, who finds himself down the inside in 15th place. He's in the fluorescently and brightly coloured red and yellow, if you like. Down the inside goes Wood as well in the 64 for 16th place. That's Ricky Harden going backwards, by the way, in the 7, and that will continue on as Phil Crouch looks to be the next one to try and go through. Or he's going to at least have the opportunity in a couple of moments' time as he gets through on Andrew Wood, who's going backwards. Now Kraus looks to the inside of turn 1. It's not going to happen there on that occasion.
And side by side behind him with Andrew Wood and Anzaldo almost intersecting wheels, almost making contact. Andrew Wood, another driver, looking to move his way forward from the back of the field. But Kraus side by side with Harden. Not side by side anymore because he's made the move, but Harden's coming back.
He is. This is a great battle further back, and Harden knows that the 4-car probably faster than he is. No point fighting at this stage. We're still 140 laps to go here at Phoenix Raceway. Out towards the front again. Sean Campbell has cleared himself of Sammy Fontaine now, but Chris Fowler hasn't, and Zegers hasn't either. So they're side by side at the moment, all fighting over the start-finish line into 1 and 2. Fowler will dive to the inside here. Zegers right round the outside will get the place, and now Matt Taylor will try and come through as well.
Still crazy here, almost 3 wide there as you see Christopher taking a peek, just kind of having to back out, making sure he doesn't use that run for evil and make it 3 wide. And look at this train all the way up to basically David Rodriguez in 6th there. And that's everybody behind those who pitted, everybody behind those who didn't pit. The top 5, everybody who didn't come in under that last caution, they've pulled 2.6 seconds over the rest of the field, possibly just because of the fact that they have a lighter fuel load, and possibly because we're seeing some insane fighting here as they're side by side again off 3.
Well, again, the problem is if this goes another 30 laps, then there's going to be problems for those drivers out front. But for now, they're looking fantastic. Side by side, a little bit further back again. Very close between Zegers and Fontaine, I think that was. It's the rookie, well, they're both rookies. Fontaine on the outside, going for 10th at the moment in the white car. Can't quite do it for the moment as Zegers holds him off in the red and white and just slots in front of him off of 4. This is exciting stuff from 6th on backwards as diving down the inside at the moment goes Zegers on Sean Campbell now, who's trying desperately to hold on to his spot inside the top 10.
Let's make it even more exciting. Daniel Zegers, the one driver highlight show here, but Sean Campbell blocks him off into turn 3. He sees the moves that Daniel's trying to make, and he's doing everything he can to make sure he can't make those moves. He had to check up through 3 and 4, wasn't able to get the run, but that doesn't stop everybody else behind from being side by side. Christopher loves the top, and he does it again, and Kraus is going to follow him.
Kraus runs round the outside, and all of a sudden he's going to join Sean Campbell, you would imagine, inside the top 10, or very soon he's going to, as he tries to chase the championship leader. Michael O'Brien will also be trying to do the same, by the way. He's inside the top 10 right now as well. Those guys top 3 in the championship, as that was a big dive from Harden on Munoz in the red and yellow, who got right round the outside. In the end, it's Harden who stacks up everybody behind. We're almost 3 wide through the dogleg and into 3 and 4 behind.
Things are getting hard in 3 and 4. Everybody trying to take advantage of the checkup there, but nothing doing. And Zaldo has to get back in line. Richie Hearn and Andrew Wood are going to be side by side through 3 and 4. That's Andrew Wood rather up on the top, getting the run to the outside of Hearn. Not able to do anything yet. Hearn's going to get a teensy bit of draft from Anzaldo up front. Still side by side through 3 and 4 as Wood tries to make the top work. He's able to get the run, not able to clear Hearn. It's going to be a tough job.
This is fantastic racing. 42 complete in the Majors Garage 175 here at Phoenix. And so far, we have seen a great race. Nunez has led every single one of the laps, and he's taken his tally to over 100 in the history of the Lionheart Retro Series, looking for only a second top 5 by the end of the day though. Further behind, that's where the excitement has been, and it has been exciting. Phil Kraus still to the inside of Christopher right now, who's going to get the run round 1 and 2. Oh, he very nearly gets his rear left dropped off, and Phil Kraus now is the one going backwards.
You win some and you lose some. That seems to be basically the theme of the midfield so far. You can make those huge moves, and then suddenly somebody's making a huge move on you in return, and you're falling down the order. It's been impossible for Phil Kraus to move his way forward. He falls once more to Munoz, rips the bottom, clips the apron a little bit again. Just can't seem to make that forward progress, and he's got some more cars coming up behind him. Ricky Harden, we know he's been aggressive. Look for him to try and make a move, potentially into 3 and 4 in the next lap. Kraus is thinking about the championship right now, but he's also thinking, I don't like running 16th.
Well, yeah, exactly. And in that thinking about the championship business, he's got to realise that O'Brien and Campbell are 8th and 9th at the moment. Kraus still has points to make up in the championship, although on corrected points, if you only count the best 7 races of the Lionheart Retro Series so far, Phil Kraus is only 18 points behind Campbell and only 7 behind Michael O'Brien, so he does have points to play with, but he can't really afford to start losing them as we go in towards the halfway stage of the season, which we will be at the end of the racing tonight. Phil Kraus outside line of Matt Taylor now, who can't seem to stop going backwards either. In towards 3 and 4 they go, approaching 50 laps complete, 50 miles around this great racetrack, and Phil Kraus is back inside the top 15. He's got to pick apart those positions though that he lost so easily a couple of moments ago. He's got to work so hard to get them all back.
It's a crowded house for Phil Kraus right now, trying to get by Munoz. He got a fantastic switchback off of turn 4 on that previous lap, but wasn't able to do anything with it. Let's see if he can do the same thing this time around. Gets a run, but you see Munoz just gets that little bit better momentum off the corner. They're going to be 3 wide into 1 and 2 further back. Those Anzaldo's in the middle of Wood and Harden. Oh! And there's contact off of 2.
That was very close to disaster for everybody. Andrew Wood hangs on to it and will stay 20th. Richard Hearn will get through into 19th, but what a save that was from Wood. It was a 3 wide moment off of 2, and it could have easily gone so wrong. Through 1 and 2 they'll go again. It's outside line for Harden it was on that occasion, who holds on to that position as Phil Kraus is looking for another one on Munoz, and he's got it in towards 3 and 4. That is now 14th place for Phil Kraus.
And you know, Ewan, we are biased here in the commentary box towards Richie Hearn as a former commentator of this very series, racing in the field now, and also, you know, possibly more importantly, his Indy 500 starts and IRL experience in the past, but nothing beats being a sim racing commentator, Ewan.
Absolutely. And he's carrying the Hyperex camera, by the way, at the moment. Currently running in 19th position with the 70 car. There is the... Oh, dear! Oh, contact! Oh. And caution will be out. Lap 52. Caution out at Phoenix. And our Hyperex onboard camera carrier, Richie Hearn, involved with it. And there's a car upside down as well. I think Hugo Galaz is involved. Andrew Wood as well. Pfeiffer. Few cars involved.
That may have been a commentator's curse there. I tried not to do it earlier, Ewan, but now it's finally happened. Poor old Richie Hearn. And Zaldo still turtled in the middle of turns 1 and 2. He's finally had to tow it back to pit lane. Trouble. Huge trouble and a massive crash.
Absolutely huge. Let's have a look at that one more time. Richie Hearn was to the inside. It wasn't really his fault. He just... Oh, goodness me.
Space program. That was Anzaldo going halfway to space, and then a couple... Oh, it wasn't him that flipped. I think it was potentially Jimbo Pfeiffer who came onto the scene and was turtled there, but that's going to be a height record. We gotta keep track of the jumps here in the Lionheart Racing Series and give Jorge Anzaldo an award.
Now then, who comes in? The top 5 will be in because they haven't been into the pit lane yet, but some drivers deciding that staying out worked out quite well during the last caution, so I might try it this time. And that is the case for David Rodriguez, Michael O'Brien and Chris Fowler. Interesting that a championship contender like O'Brien would take a risk like that when on this, and Drew White has as well, by the way. But of the 28 previously lead lap cars, only 4 have stayed out. And by the way, only 25 or so actually remain on the lead lap for the moment as they make their way towards the end of pit lane. Who's going to be off first? Nunez will be 5th. As we look at Jorge Anzaldo, you're absolutely right, Joey. He was the one who almost touched Miles.
It's a beautiful sight there. These cars almost look like rockets. Sometimes we call race cars fighter jets on wheels, but George Anzaldo, we need to clip that off and put like the Claire de Lune behind it. That could be a beautiful commercial for the series.
Well, few drivers involved in that crash, unfortunately. Of those who were staying on pit lane, Jorge Anzaldo is staying on pit lane, as you won't be surprised to learn. Jimbo Pfeiffer, likewise. I think Matt Taylor is definitely out of this race as well. I think Hearn is going to be able to get back going again, although he needs to get going here to stay on the lead lap pretty quickly because they're coming round for him now, although that might be the end of his day. I think he could be out of this race as well. And Andrew Wood is having a long repair as well right now. He's going 1 lap down as well. So 23 remain on the lead lap. A couple of cautions so far, Joey, but finally a new leader. First lead change of the day, and it goes to David Rodriguez, who stays out under that caution.
Indeed, it's sort of a reverse strategy compared to the previous pit cycle under that last caution. Now some of the drivers who came in under that last caution, they're reversed. They're up front now. And I think they've seen what happened under the previous stint we had. The top 5 that stayed out were able to pull away. They had almost a 4-second lead before that caution came out. I think Rodriguez is probably regretting coming in under that previous caution, and he's lucky he was able to make up for it here.
So then, still 120 laps to go at Phoenix, and David Rodriguez continues in the lead. He's stuck up behind the pace car. Michael O'Brien, Chris Fowler and Drew White all staying out with him. They'll need another caution within the next 30 laps or so, but it's pretty safe to assume there'll be one. The only problem they do have is that another caution in really quick succession doesn't really help them at all, because that would send them right backwards. But let's see. And we're also going to get some answers now as to how Nunez's car actually behaves in traffic, because it's all well and good leading while you've got the clean air on your nose, but what are you like when you're back in 5th place?
It's always the question. It's a tale of 2 different driving styles, but for Luis Nunez, it's the leading that was kind of different for him. That was a new position. He's used to being in the field. He's used to racing. We've seen him make some great passes in the past. So he'll be comfortable, but hopefully he can stick with the back of Drew White and not lose him like the previous stint.
Rodriguez swings high through 3 and 4. Leads a few more laps and will get us underway once again here. He's won twice in the Lionheart Retro Series. He's looking for his 3rd tonight. Rodriguez underway. Michael O'Brien once again a little bit sluggish on the restart there, even causing Chris Fowler to just duck to the left-hand side of him there, but the green flag is waving once again in Arizona, and David Rodriguez will lead the field around with still over 100 laps to go.
Long way to go. A lot of racing to go, a lot of strategery to go, and a lot of danger to go. But here comes Michael O'Brien. He's already got a run on David Rodriguez. Rodriguez does get the lead to the line, but O'Brien down in the bottom flies past him to the lead.
Oh, he's on the apron a little bit, and that's going to just halt his run slightly. Rodriguez going to have a good exit through the dogleg now. O'Brien forced to hold on to that low line through 3 and 4. Fowler looking for anywhere with where the 2 in front aren't going. And now finally we have a fight for the win. Nunez held that lead almost uncontested for more than 50 laps. But now that we've got a new leader, Rodriguez, or just as quickly, we've got a new leader in the form of Michael O'Brien.
And these cars with their lighter fuel loads, they've got 32 less laps of fuel in the tanks now, and that lightness is helping these leaders pull away from Nunez so much here. O'Brien able to hold off Rodriguez this time. Rodriguez not able to repay the favor, but he might honestly be happy with running second right now. He can save a little bit extra fuel, go a little bit longer on this run. He might be happy to be in second. That might be why O'Brien was able to make that move so easily. But we'll see if that hypothesis is true off of 3 and 4 this time. He's got another run, but he's going to hang back.
What about Chris Fowler? Is he going to hang back? Yes, he will. Drew White will do the same. The only rookie who stayed out under that caution. Nunez leads the field behind, and we're seeing a similar situation again. I think what we're learning here, Joey, is to make your final pit stop as soon as possible, because if you are able to stay out under a caution, the longer you're able to go out for a run, the better you seem to get. And every single time there's drivers who stay out under cautions, they get a very early lead in these green flag runs.
They do, and Drew White is doing a pretty good job here in fourth of sticking with the 3 in front. Remember, he has a little bit of damage, came down pit lane early in the running. He was, I believe, involved in the first caution, so still nursing a little bit of damage. That car's not running at full speed, but he is sticking with the leaders, just trying to stay in the draft, not lose them, and that's all he can do right now. Hang in.
So 4 for the lead. 1.8 seconds back is Nunez. Then it's Alex Gounon, who's had a pretty quiet race so far, but he's been running well. And now goes ahead of Nunez, actually. Just as I say that, he's finally decided to get loud through 3 and 4. And now could be a problem for Nunez, because Sean Campbell's on the inside. And after that is Tyler Graff, Mike Razamas. How far is Nunez going to fall here? It's round the outside through 1 and 2, and the 14 will at least hold on to 6th.
Well done for hanging on there around the outside. Kind of a fortunate thing there that he ended up on the outside of Campbell, got the run, got the momentum, and now he's able to get a run off of 4 this time on Gounon. Is he going to go for a dive into turn 1 again to repay the favor? No, he isn't. Gounon able to hang on to P5, the leader of the train here. But Nunez has proven he's able to make those passes back. He's a strong car in the lead and in traffic. He's going to be tough to beat here. He peeks to the inside of Gounon, just letting him know he's there. I think if he can build up a run here soon, he'll definitely be able to go for another move.
Will. But they've got to be concerned about those front 4 who are still out front and gaining time all the while. Still 23 cars on the lead lap, by the way. All the others are either in pit lane or out of the race. Hearn, Taylor and Zaldo are all confirmed retirements after the opening or after that second caution crash. Craig Forsyth, unfortunately, out of the race a very long time ago as a result of incidents as well. Side by side between Samuel Fontaine and Mike Razamas for 9th place right now. What a battle this is between 1 and 2. Side by side, and it's outside for Fontaine to hang on to 9th for now.
Gotta say, well done, Mike Rasmus. He started very deep in the field. I believe the last place of the qualifiers, down in about 25th place. So up into the top 10. It's been a fantastic run for a long-time Lionheart driver. Lots of success, really showing his experience here in the field. But he's got to look back at David Sirois. Huge run off of 1 and 2 in the draft into 3 and 4. Sirois looking to move his way forward in that 99 as well. Zegers sending it to the bottom in 1. Still, everybody doing the same thing we've always seen. Every line's working here at Phoenix.
Well, Graff and Campbell now go side by side. Series leader Sean Campbell with some defending to do. In towards turn 1, he'll have the high line through here and the run off the corner as well. Fontaine will stay behind him, just pushing him along a little bit with that air ball, and that will hold it, that 7th place for Sean Campbell, although only as far as turn 3 and 4. Round the outside again through the flatter 2 turns they'll go. Campbell now boxed in with Nunez right in front. He can't quite get the run into 1 and 2 that he needs, but it's not a good run for Graff through the turn, and Sean Campbell hangs on to 7th for now.
That outside is so powerful. These drivers are learning that if you can get to that outside in 1 and 2, if you can start basically side by side with the driver in front, you can get a big run off of there, and you can make that pass for the car in front. So for the likes of Campbell and Nunez, they're thinking about the last laps right now. They're thinking 100 laps in the future. How do I make the pass for the win if I need to do so? And Campbell is hunting. He's not interested in saving fuel, and he's going to try and go around Nunez in 3 and 4.
Around the outside of 3 and 4 for Sean Campbell. He'll have the slipstream from Gounon as well, although Guillon's going to try and give that a little bit to Nunez. Try and share that out. In towards 1 and 2. Campbell likes it up the high line, and he gets the pass done. He's clearly showing and putting his marker down that the outside line of 1 and 2 is where Sean Campbell would like to run.
You know, this guy is just kind of insane. I mention that every week because that's basically all you can say about Sean Campbell. Undefeated in the Lionheart Sports Car Series this season. Came into this series last season for the last 6 races. Won all 6 of them. Was finally defeated once he got into the full season here, but it's just unfair. This guy's good at everything he drives. I talked to him after the race, and he's just like, you know, yeah, it was a good race. It was fine. I only made up about 17 spots from where I started. It just comes so easily.
Did you see how much driving he did, by the way, in the Spa 24 Hours last weekend?
I did, the Deca stint.
Yes, or whatever you'd start to call that. Yeah, it was his thought process is not like a thought process of any other human being I've ever seen, I've got to be honest, because someone offered after 6 hours of driving that, you know, they can take the car over for the final 4 hours, but he said, well, I'm here now, aren't I? Which is not the thought process I would have if someone was offering me to get out after 6 hours. He's in 6th place at the moment, Sean Campbell, and whatever he races, as he seems to every single night, he's in a series almost every day of the week, and Sean Campbell is just good at it. Series leader here, and as of right now, he would lose points to Michael O'Brien, but he's doing his very best to just limit that as much as possible.
And also, Ewan, you know, you and I, we're two of the younger sim racing commentators, I think, but Sean Campbell's still younger than us. He's still 18.
Well, I didn't know that. That makes me feel awful. And I hope I think it would for a lot of people as well. 100 laps to go, by the way, in the Majors Garage 175 here at Phoenix. Still plenty of racing coming up, and the top 4, they're going to have to think about pit stops soon. These guys will start battling for the lead when that happens, because they will just vault up those positions, and Sean Campbell wants to be the one to lead those laps when they get the opportunity. Outside line of Alex Guillon through 1 and 2. It's going to turn to the outside for 3 and 4 as well, and the 26 is the new leader.
But Sean Campbell, he's got too much praise, and Sam Fontaine says he's not the only rookie who's good in this field. I can do some funky stuff as well. Around the outside through 1 and 2. Fantastic move on Alex Guillon there. Guillon falling off a little bit. I don't know if this is maybe saving fuel, just getting out of the rhythm a little bit, but he has lost a ton of pace over the past couple of laps. There goes Graf around the outside. Rasmus is coming too. He's getting run over like a train.
The inside line is really not beneficial on occasion here, and Alex Guillon is struggling. Stouffer goes through. Nunez will be next. Nunez is outside the top 10, by the way. He's fallen back quite a lot as there's smoke around at the moment. Not sure who that's from right now. Guillon getting absolutely freight trained. Phil Kraus goes round the outside of him now. Zegers as well. This is an absolute disaster for Alex Guillon, who was running 5th, has dropped nearly 10 places in a matter of laps.
That was Christopher Hill, by the way, who was giving out the big smoke there, Chris Hadfield style. He's brought it down pit lane, so no caution's going to come out for that. He's safe, and we continue on with no oil on the track. But here's the two teammates, Sirois behind Guillon in those gold and white and black entries for Lavoie Motorsport into turn 1. Sirois running a little bit higher, still able to build up those runs around the outside. Guillon's able to calm down for a moment, though, and take a breath, because his teammate isn't quite to him yet.
80 laps complete at Phoenix, about to be 81. Top 4 have 5 seconds over the rest of the field. O'Brien, Rodriguez, Fowler and White ahead of this fight for 5th place, which is an absolutely fantastic one for the moment. Valenzuela and Harding go side by side towards 1 and 2 as well, by the way, as we look at Phil Kraus down the inside of Nunez, the pole sitter, now going to be outside the top 10 by lap 82. Oh, that was close, and I'm sure there may have been contact.
I don't know if there was contact, but there were intersecting wheels there. They interlocked, and they are so lucky to get away with that, because you make the little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact with how fast these wheels are spinning at 150 plus miles per hour at times. The littlest bit of contact is basically going to send both of those cars to space. You have to be careful when you interlock like that. They got lucky that time, but you can't always get away with that.
Well, we are on lap 58 now of the run for the leaders, by the way. So we might be about to see green flag pit stops for the first time tonight as Phil Kraus heads down the inside of Nunez through the dogleg and in towards 3 and 4. We do have pit stops. O'Brien, Rodriguez and White into the pit lane. Fowler will continue on for one more, but surely now for the top 4, this is a disaster.
That was a very, very dicey entry there for Michael O'Brien. I think he did get it slowed down, so there's not going to be any problems with the pit lane speeding penalties, but it was a bit of a scary moment. I don't think this is going to be that bad for these leaders because, once again, everybody does still have to pit 2 more times. These guys only have to pit 1 more time. They are going to go a lap down most likely, but if we don't get a caution, if that does happen, they are in pretty solid shape.
Chris Fowler still leads the way around, and then it will be Sean Campbell to lead a few laps here in a few moments' time as well, you would imagine. As Fontaine gets very close, maybe he wants to lead those laps when he gets the opportunity. but you can see that Fowler, left on his own, is going to struggle now. Inside for Fontaine. We've not seen that pass happen very often, but Campbell, I think, is going to let that one happen. And one rookie hands over to another. Not sure whether there was coordination there, but it wasn't made too difficult for Samuel Fontaine to lead.
Not difficult at all. Chris Fowler still kind of stinking up the party here, but now he does finally bring it down pit road. It's over for Chris Fowler for this stint. He's going to be the final one of that group to bring it down, and Sam Fontaine takes over the spotlight. He heard what we were saying about Sean Campbell and Phil Krause about how their incredible rookie seasons have been so good. He wants to beat all of them. He wants to be a race winner and a rookie, and he could very well do it in 90 laps time, but he's got a long way to go.
Well, the green flag run continues here in the Majors Guys 175. We're about at the halfway mark of this race. We could see some more green flag pit stops very soon. Stay with us here on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back in a few moments' time after Lionheart Retro Series side by side. Still 80 laps to go here in Phoenix. It's round 11 of the Lionheart Retro Series for Season 7 in 2023, and Samuel Fontaine leads the field around in what is turning into a fantastic and relatively caution-free race. Just 2 so far, fewest 7 that we've ever had in the 4 editions previous to this one at Phoenix Raceway. Are we going to see a new record here tonight? 80 laps to go. Fontaine, Campbell, Zegers, your top 3 for the moment. Myself, Ewan O'Leary, Joey Tebbin, bringing you the action this evening. And it's been a very interesting one so far, Joey. Still 15 laps until these leaders may have to make some green flag pit stops, which we weren't quite expecting today.
Zegers trying to go for the 2-for-1 special here to the inside of Campbell into turn 1. Is he going to get to the inside of Fontaine through the dogleg? Yes, he is. Campbell's going to make it 3 wide. Oh, Zegers sends it in. He's able to get the lead for the moment, but Campbell's going to go for a triple switchback from the very top to the very bottom. This is crazy up front.
He's going to have to be careful of finding himself on the inside here, because we've seen with Alex Guyon that you can go backwards very quickly, but not Sean Campbell. He can stick it through the inside of 1 and 2, and he will hold on to second at least, with Zegers now in the lead. 3 rookies, 3 wide for the lead at Phoenix. What a sight that was.
And don't look now, but you see a hint of pink backwards in the pack there. P6 Phil Krause, going to be P5 Phil Krause, P4 Phil Krause. He's sending it into turn 1.
everybody stacking up on the outside line there and going backwards. I think again is Guyon in the 08. He's not having a good time of things, and Pulsitter Nunez is going to get through in him there as well. Further backwards, that was very close as Mike Razamas very nearly got into contact with Phil Kraus.
We're getting some huge checkups off of turn 4. I'm not entirely sure why, but that is what tends to end in disaster. If you have a huge checkup about 10 cars back and nobody's expecting the checkup, that is when cautions and contact can happen. Everybody's been very well behaved so far, but we are seeing some big checkups, and it's going to happen again. So you see side by side to turn 1, right ahead of Phil Kraus, Sam Fontaine and Tyler Graff, Ricky Harden sending it in as well. Everything's changing up front. Everybody's trying to make the inside work, but the outside starting to come into the fray again.
It was not a particularly good send from Harden on that occasion, I'm afraid. He drops back a little bit. Side by side between Kraus and Graff, and Phil Kraus is up to 4th place now. We've got 4 rookies in the top 4. Phoenix, crash on the front straight. Huge accident. It's Tyler Graff who just loses it off of 4 and into the wall as well. I think it's Hysong as well, but Tyler Graff is the one who brings out the caution. And what a huge accident that was as well. Few more drivers will have damage as well. But on lap 102, it's a disaster for those 1 lap down.
It was bound to happen with how close things were, but Tyler Graff, bad luck, got turned into a frisbee there on the front stretch, and a couple more drivers involved. He's going to be able to drive it back to the pits, but it's not good when your car resembles a crab more than a Lotus 79, and that's not going too well for him. That's kind of weird contact off the corner. I think he himself was a little bit loose, got a little bit of oversteer, then overcorrected, got into the side of the car to the outside, and that just spat him into the inside wall. Terrible luck for a ton of drivers, and especially terrible luck for those 4 leaders. Rodriguez, O'Brien, White, and Fowler all trapped 1 lap down now, and Fowler has heavy damage from that.
Are they going to get out from 1 lap down, though? That's what we're about to find out. Zegers will lead them all into pit lane, and you'd imagine that everyone will come in here because pretty much everybody came in 50 laps ago now. Pit window was less than 10 laps away anyway. But so everybody is into the pit lane. Can't see anybody staying out for the moment. Is there going to be one sacrificial lamb to keep everybody a lap down? I think there will be. I think there's going to be one driver to trap them a lap down. It's going to be Samuel Ryman, I think, who could trap the 4 of them a lap down. We'll see where they are in the order, but he's the only driver to have stayed out of the pit lane. Let's see who makes their way off pit lane first, though. Campbell and Fontaine very close to one another. Zegers as well. That was very close, a race off pit lane. I think Sean Campbell just got it.
Yep, Campbell gets it by inches. Zegers was trying to beat him out there, but couldn't quite do it. This could be a strong move, I think, for Sam Ryman. He's going to have to pit here probably very soon, but he will get a lap led, and if he does decide to stay out and we go green here and we get another caution, this could be a smart move, but I think he is pulling down pit lane this time. He's not going to stay out at the head of the field. As we come around turn 4, I think we'll see him pulled down there. No, we don't. Still out there. So he's deciding, or at least hoping, that we get a sequence of cautions here. We can extend this a little bit more, and he can make a final stop to make it to the end.
Well, he's not trapped the others a lap down either. You can see Michael O'Brien, David Rodriguez, and Drew White all just ahead of the black and orange car there. So they will get the wave around, I believe, in a couple of moments' time. And they'll get back onto the lead lap. So all is not lost for them, Joey. It's not great, but they are going to be on the lead lap again at the very least.
Yeah, that's a little bit of solace, and then if we do get a caution again, they'll be right with the pack. And we've seen drivers move up from the back of the field all night long. Sean Campbell, Phil Kraus, Mike Razamus. Starting at the back of the field isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world when everybody's so closely packed together. So being on the lead lap is going to be very, very important, and once the lights go out in the pace car, they will get waved around and they will get some solace. But Sam Ryman is going to pull down pit road this time, so I think he was just trying to stay out to get a lap lead point.
I think so. Can't see any other reason why he would do that. Oh, someone making a late call in the background as well. Don't know what that was all about. Harden.
Ricky Harden.
Yeah, why is he in the pit lane for the 7 car? Not entirely sure. As Sean Cameron's going to take up his place behind the pace car. Those 3 will go around. By the way, Chris Fowler, you'll remember, was with those guys earlier on. I didn't see what happened to Fowler under that last caution, Joey. Was he one who was caught up in damage maybe in that.
He was the black and red car that kind of came onto the scene and had to check up and then ended up spat into the inside wall. So he's got heavy damage from that. Terrible luck from a guy who was having a great time. But you can see what happened to him here. The caution comes out and he gets punted by Michael O'Brien, who I think wasn't quite expecting that big of a checkup there. Bad luck. Terrible luck for Chris Fowler.
Thanks very much to Hugo Luis there for pulling up that replay because that's all of a sudden makes a lot more sense. But yeah, Michael O'Brien, he'd add maybe has a bit of damage concern now as well, but let's wait and see. Less than 70 laps of racing to go in the Majors Garage 175. It's racing again at Phoenix. Oh dear, a big check-up in the background. They'll all fan out wide. I think it was Nunez trying to anticipate the start there and got that all wrong.
Did not work out for Nunez. Guyon trying to make up for lost time, see if he can get a run here through the dog leg. Too early to go for a move, though. Daniels and Sirois almost side by side behind them. You saw that a little bit of a peek in the background. And up front, it's back to the usual business, Ewan, swishing back and forth for the lead, and here comes Zegers.
The intensity just ramps up a notch with every restart. This is restart number 3, and Sean Campbell's not been able to hold on to this lead for very long. Phil Kraus is now alongside him into 3 and 4, and his fellow rookie will get through in the 4 car. Campbell out wide, up high, and trying to make the moves right now with Fontaine on the inside as Phil Kraus goes for the lead.
It is Rookie City up front, and don't let the action distract you here. If we do happen to go green for 65 more laps, every single driver in the field will still have to make a pit stop. So this is all for track position right now, and this is all drivers knowing there's still a long way to go in this race. Zegers able to hold on to the lead right now, but Campbell's got a wheel to the inside. That's going to be critical. You need to basically be alongside of the driver in front if you want to make a move on the inside or the outside. It didn't work on the inside that time.
Great racing inside the top 6. Side by side between Stouffer and Fontaine, by the way, who's going backwards in the 22. Nunez round the outside, the high line getting more and more fancied as this race goes on. Zegers has been able to hold on to the lead with that for the moment, but Sean Campbell's challenging him through 1 and 2. He can't quite do it in the 26. Now Kraus with the outside line, with the slipstream given to him by the 88. Will go for it as well. We're almost 3 wide. Campbell sends it in an impossible gap to try and take that lead away.
He saw there was about 99% of a car width there, and he went for it. Zegers opened the door for him just enough, and that is the kind of racing we're going to see for the rest of the night here. It is fantastic to see that Phoenix, in its old layout or in its new layout, it still works very, very well for these cars. This may be a Formula 1 car, but it is very similar to the old-style Indy cars that did race at this track back in the day, and it looks very similar to that action, and a little bit more pack racy than that, but absolutely fantastic. And look at Chris Stouffer on the scene. He's going to be the next one to join the party.
This is the 2008 Legacy layout here on iRacing, and it's providing a wonderful Lionheart Retro Series race. The 5th time we've visited Phoenix in 7 seasons. Are we going to get even closer than our closest winning margin that we saw back in Season 2? 46 thousandths of a second between Jason Galvin and Adam Blocker at the end of that race. Well, right now, you would put your money on it being even closer at the end of this race. Zegers still holds on to the lead. Campbell won't let him go. Stouffer and Kraus fight for 3rd place. This is phenomenal action.
And look who's on the scene as well. Luis Nunez moving his way up. They're 3 wide for a moment further back. Backed out of that one smartly, I think. David Rodriguez not going to send it 3 wide for 10th. But there's a little bit of separation now. Zegers gets to breathe for a moment, but that might not be the best thing for him, because now Campbell and Stouffer and Kraus, with that little bit of extra distance, they might be able to build up a huge run and get the momentum into turn 1. He can still breathe for a moment, though, because Stouffer's not close enough. He's going to get a nose to the inside, but Zegers will hang on.
They'll single file themselves out, and we'll have a caution. Munoz involved, I think, at turn 1 and 2. Let's have a quick replay. It is Rodrigo Munoz who gets hit there by Harden, I think that is, in the 7. And that was pretty rude. Oh, he's going to get hit slightly clumsily at the end there as well. Sent back in the right direction. I think that was Harden who maybe sent him into turn 1 and 2.
I don't think that was Harden. I think it was Drew White potentially, but I'm not gonna pick who it was. There's so many white and black cars in the field that it's it's always impossible to differentiate him from the replays there. But either way, terrible luck for Munoz. Just getting punted there. Fantastic luck for all the drivers up front. If you pit now, you can guaranteed basically make it to the end. Don't need to worry about fuel. Don't need to worry about pitting again. It's just going to be an all-out battle from here on.
Yeah, apologies to either of them, by the way, if it's neither of them.
You're going to get sued for libel, Ewan.
Yes. Or
slander.
Or slander, yeah, libel's written. But yes, let's see. Under caution, who pits? I certainly would, because as you say, Joey, you can go to the end from here. Zegers knows that. He's in. Sean Campbell probably knows that too, but decides to stay out. So does Mike Razamas. But pretty much everybody else on the lead lap into the pit lane. Harden stays in as well. By the way, we've got 19 cars still on the lead lap now with that crash for Munoz, and only 5 of them stay out on the racetrack.
So it's interesting here, because if we do get a ton more cautions, Campbell, Rasmus, Valenzuela, the whole gang that stayed out, they can make it to the end. But if we do go green here, they've done 14 and 12 laps respectively on their fuel tanks. So we go green with 54 laps to go. That is going to be far and away over the limit of these fuel tanks, no matter how much fuel saving you do. So all those guys who stayed out, they are taking a risk right now. They're hoping we get more cautions. Based on the way the race has gone so far, it's very likely that we will, but it's still a risk.
Well, I was going to say, based on the race we've had so far, maybe we're not going to see that many still remaining in this. By the way, we've got Tyler Graff waiting for an interview booth at the moment, so I wonder under caution whether we can just bring him in for a quick chat at the moment after his unfortunate crash a little bit earlier on. Tyler, welcome into the booth. Good to have you with us, although not so good that we're still in the race and you're with us, unfortunately. Just tell us a little bit about what happened out there. No, we can't hear Tyler for the moment. I'm not sure why. I can see him trying, but that doesn't seem to be working for the moment. So we'll try and get that in a couple of moments' time. But yeah, still under caution here at Phoenix. Just less than 60 laps remaining in this race. Now, Joey, Sean Campbell leading the way. Wonder whether we're going to see the same situation we have so many times, is that those who stayed out getting a gap on the rest of the field, or those who come in now, are they going to be a little bit more attentive? Are they going to stay with those leaders this time?
It's very possible that they pull away, but also it's a shorter differential between the two packs than we've seen before. These guys up front, the 5 drivers who stayed out, from Campbell to Galaz, well, now Campbell to Harden, as Galaz has come down pit lane, they're only on 13 to 16 lap younger or older fuel tanks, if I can get any of those words right. They're not that much lighter. They've only expended a couple extra laps of fuel. I think everybody behind might be able to do a better job of sticking with them, but it's a very, very difficult question, and it all depends on basically whether Sean Campbell, whether Mike Rasmus, whether Valenzuela, they've been expending their fuel extremely, or whether they have been saving fuel a little bit. It's going to depend on the weight of the fuel tanks. It's going to depend on how long they can go in the race. Still a lot of questions here with 55 laps to go.
More questions than answers as well. Fuel stint, just to remind you, 57 to 58, and given the caution laps and the fact that there's only 55 to go, everybody who came in there should be able to go to the end. Still 19 cars on the lead lap here. That means that 14 of them should be good to the flag. But let's see if that is reality by the end of 175 miles around here. Goodness me, big fan out again. And weaving his way through is Luke Daniels. He takes Munoz. He's going to take Fontaine as well in towards turn 1. Phil Crouch around the outside of Stouffer for 6th right now as well. It's a lively restart, as going absolutely nowhere is some of those who started at the front of that one, I'm afraid. Inside the top 5, I think Galaz has gone miles backwards here. I'm not entirely sure why just for the moment. The leaders absolutely together. Rasmus, Campbell and Valenzuela, the top 3 for now.
Yeah, this is crunch time now. This is where we see, do those drivers who just came down pit lane have the pace to stick with the leaders? That hasn't been the case in any of the previous pit cycles with drivers on younger or lighter cars with less fuel. So far, it looks like Zegers is doing a decent job of sticking with the drivers in front, but there is still that little bit of a pull away for those 4 cars in front. He might be able to stick with them. It might be another case to actually be able to make the move.
Let's see. Well, This is a little bit closer for the leaders than we've seen in previous iterations of this kind of restart, where some drivers have stayed out, others have come into the pit lane. Normally those that stay out get away, but not this time. John Campbell's been displaced from the lead as well, and defending champion Mike Rasmus takes the lead away from him. Inside line for Zegers as well. He's the first of those who pitted. He'll go side by side with Harden through 3 and 4. That's not going to happen, and Phil Krause will close in as a result as well.
Harden up on the high line, trying to get some momentum in front, but I don't know if that car is nursing a little bit of damage or what, but he doesn't seem to be able to get the runs here. Doesn't seem to be able to hold the same pace up on the top as the 3 in front. He's trying it again through 3 and 4. Valenzuela moves up a little bit. That's going to force Harden down to the bottom into 1. He's going to get Valenzuela. He might get Campbell as well. He's not nursing any damage right now. He's able to clear Valenzuela into 3rd, but here comes Zegers.
This could really close up the field behind and send them everywhere now. Zegers looking left and right for an opening. Valenzuela could provide one through 3 and 4, although not quite. Krause will be there as well. Then it's Stouffer, Fontaine, Nunez and Daniels, who's going to get dived by Guyon as well. It's going to be Daniels on Nunez. That's side by side for 9th place for now. Guyon trying to break into the top 10 just further behind. The battling here is fierce in the final 50 laps in the Majors Garage 175. We've seen a wonderful race so far, and it's only going to come to a real roller coaster finish here in the final 50 laps.
The flinging out of line is absolutely insane. You saw behind Nunez, that was Luke Daniels just sending it down to the bottom, almost out of control. But these cars have so much downforce. They're so stuck to the track that you can get away with those little loose moments, but it's always dicey to see. Down the front stretch again here. There's Daniels again, moving down to the bottom, getting in the draft of Fontaine. He's going to be clear of Nunez into turn 1. That's going to be one spot for Daniels. If he can clear up on Nunez, he can, but Nunez is still going to get a pinch of a line to the outside into 3 and 4, not able to clear him.
Nunez took his first Lionheart Retro Series pole, by the way, earlier on in this race. He's only looking for his 2nd top 5 as well. He's not had such good luck in this series, and right now he's struggling to get through the traffic. Now we'll go 3 wide. Oh, it's too close for comfort, and off the road for Luke Daniels, into the wall. Will that be a caution? I think he's going to stay out of the grass and we're going to stay green. What a moment that was. And Nunez somehow hangs on to that car after a really dicey 3 wide moment off of 2.
I don't know where Daniels went. We lost him from the racing surface, and then he disappeared into the void, but now we're going to get an answer. It's a little bit of contact with Nunez. Huge hit into the wall, not able to save it, and no caution because he was able to keep it pointed in a straight line, but that's going to be the end of the day for Luke Daniels. Massive damage. That was a concrete wall on the inside. That's what happens when you're 3 wide, and that's not going to be the last time we see contact here. It's getting crazy.
It is getting crazy. Nunez is on the outside again as he follows Stouffer around Samuel Fontaine. Nunez with the run through 3 and 4. They get really close. Even pushed onto the apron there, Fontaine. He goes back up the track towards Nunez, who will get through. And now Alex Guyon is going to have his chance as well in towards 1 and 2. Once again, Fontaine is having that problem of being stuck on the inside and just getting terrible runs off turns 2 and 4.
It's literally like getting derailed. Everybody else in that draft train, and then you are not on the rails, not able to stay with the line. It's interesting to see this fight for 5th here with Zegers and Krause and Stouffer, because they haven't been able to break up that top 4 yet. They have not been able to make a single move on all those drivers who stayed out under the last caution. It's still not going to work out for those top 4 if we don't get a caution to the end. They won't have enough fuel to make it to the end. But still, right now, they're doing a fantastic job of holding track position, and if we get one more caution, they're going to be good to the end, and they've been very strong defending.
They have still 40 laps to go. They've already been out for 30 laps. I'm not so sure that they'll survive with one more caution, Joey. I think they'll need a bit more than that, personally. But let's see. I think the longer this goes on, the worse it is for them, as they need fuel again and again. I just can't see the reason why they would have stayed out under that caution anyway, but some big names have gone for it, like Rasmus and Campbell. They've decided to stay out, and I'm not sure it was the right call. Let's find out, though, over the final 40 laps as the fighting continues. Crouch and Stouffer for 6th, Fontaine and Nunez for 8th place, and all of the others behind. What great racing this is.
And if you're hoping for a caution, you're loving these sends here into turn 1 and into turn 3. We're seeing all sorts of closeness, all sorts of wiggliness. Christopher into turn 1. Zegger's able to hold him off. He's able to get a huge run, but Nunez is desperately trying to clear his way back up onto the top, and he can't do it because the reversal of fortunes has favored Sam Fontaine. He's back up on the top. Guyon running the high top, and now Nunez is the one getting swallowed on the bottom. 3 wide in the middle now.
Are we going to see 3 wide towards the front as well? Not quite. It's through the middle for Nunez. At the moment, there's contact. Oh, into the wall. It's Guyon in a big way. Going over and over again. Alex Guyon ends up on his lid and out of this race. What a shame for him. And the pole sitter Nunez caught up in there as well.
3 wide is so difficult to do around here. And for the second time tonight, we send a car many, many feet into the air. The Lionheart space program off to a fantastic start today. And there goes Guyon, just flung up into the air. Rodriguez after a fantastic start in the wall as well. And Luis Nunez started on pole, having potentially his best race in Lionheart history. It all ends in the middle of 3 wide.
What a shame for those 3. What a shame. Less than 40 laps to go in this race. Nunez and Guyon already down pit lane. You'd imagine Rodriguez will have to do the same under this caution to maybe repair a bit of damage. But what a shame it is for those drivers. Rasmus and Campbell into the pit lane. Valenzuela as well. Harden stays out, so clearly he thinks in the 7 he can make it to the end, just saving fuel under caution.
And this is going to be an uphill battle for Campbell and Rasmus and Valenzuela, but it's not going to be as uphill of a battle as it may have been otherwise. Because of the amount of attrition we've seen, all these guys who just pitted, they're only going to be 14th, 15th, and 16th, I believe, which could be far worse. We've seen them move up that much from the back of the pack from the start of the race. We know it is definitely not easy to make passes, but it is a pack race, and you can make moves if you're aggressive. I don't think Sean Campbell and Rasmus are going to be too displeased about 13th and 14th. I think they will be able to move forward. It's just a question of whether 35 laps is enough to make up all those spots, or maybe just be able to drive up into the top 5.
Well, we're under caution again, so we're going to try with Tyler Graff again, who believes he's fixed his problems. Tyler, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Can you hear us now, and can we hear you? No, it doesn't look like it. We can't hear Tyler Graff, unfortunately, for the moment. Or at least I can't. So we'll unfortunately have to put that one to rest for now. Still 35 laps to go then, Joey. Harden leads the way. Do you really believe he can save enough under caution here to get this working?
I think so, because I don't know the exact fuel statistics of this car. I don't have enough experience myself saving fuel in this vehicle, but just in general, saving fuel under caution in any series for that matter, in any car in an oval, you can save generally, I think, about 3 laps of fuel under caution compared to a green flag lap. So 4 laps of caution. I'm no mathematician. I don't know if he's going to be completely okay. It's going to be very, very close. He's going to be looking at that 35 or 32 lap mark to the end. It's going to be close. That's all I can think of.
It is going to be very close for him. Well, let's see. Still 1 lap under caution here, by the way. So when we go back green, it will be 33 to go. And we've already had, what, this is the 5th caution of the day, is it? So we're edging towards that 7 again. For fewest cautions that we've ever had at Phoenix. I'm glad to say though, Joey, I came into expectations of this being quite a stop-start kind of race. Thankfully, it hasn't felt like that. We've seen some real great racing in between times, but now the aggression is going to be ramped up to 11.
Yeah, that is... I think we're starting to see potentially where those big numbers came from, because we had a very clean start to the race. A few cautions, but not necessarily a caution fest at all. But once the aggression does start to ramp up, once track position starts to really matter and you do want to be up front, I think I can suddenly see how we got into the tens and into the teens of cautions in the past. I'm hoping that doesn't happen now. I'm hoping we still stay under the record and we have a good historical anecdote here, but 32 laps to go, some of the fastest guys starting outside of the top 10. It could very, very well unravel, or it could very, very well lead to a fantastic finish. I'm hoping for the second one.
We certainly are. Harden will get the green flag then with 33 to go. How's this going to play out? The 7 conk leads us to green again, and in the background, a few trying to anticipate and going backwards is Samuel Ryman by the looks of it, as he just got that all wrong. Campbell and Rodriguez and Rasmus will all gain as a result of that, but out front, Harden's off to a flyer, and he's got quite the gap with Zegers as well. Kraus and Stouffer make contact through 3 and 4. That was so close.
And that was an incredible save from Phil Kraus there to not lose that. And Stouffer is so lucky he didn't get punted. But here comes Zegers to the inside. Clears Harden with a full head of steam. Things are definitely equal now. No advantage with a lower fuel tank for Ricky Harden. Everybody's on an equal playing field now.
Is Zegers going to have the opportunity to run away now? Because if Harden can't quite keep the pace, then there could be a chance for the 88 to get clear here. Stouffer is right there, and Kraus will be wishing that he was. Without that contact, he would be right in the mix here. But with a nice turn 1 and 2, he'll get back into the slipstream. He'll close in all over again. This is exceptionally close now for the lead between these drivers. Still 15 on the lead lap, and at least 12 of them, 13 of them maybe, in this train. Further back, Rasmus and Campbell going nowhere as Phil Kraus goes to the inside of 1 and 2.
Phil Kraus filling the gap. Huge move into turn 1. Not able to clear Harden, but he does have a head of steam. And through 3 and 4, we know he can send it very, very deep into this corner. He's going to be able to clear Harden off the corner. Harden's going to have a run, but it's not good enough. Kraus in the draft of Zegers. Looks to the inside. Can't go anywhere. And here comes Stouffer 3 wide again.
3 wide through 1 and 2 at Phoenix, and through the middle goes Phil Kraus. Second place now for the 4 car. Harden with the outside line gets through as well. Stouffer goes backwards, and he's to 5th now, with Samuel Fontaine getting through in the white car as well. Zegers now leads the way over another lap. Still 28 to go at Phoenix, and now Phil Kraus goes to the outside of 1 and 2, looking for the lead.
And we're starting to see previews of the final lap. It's like we're at the movie theater. Zegers basically running the apron off of turn 4 as low as he can humanly get to block off any move to the inside from Kraus. He's going to do it again here off of 4, turning hard left, getting a little bit on the seam there. I think that slows him down a little bit, actually, because Kraus is going to be able to get fully alongside him into turn 1, or at least almost. Not able to do it that time, but if he can get a little bit more side by side, he might be able to make a move around the outside. He's going to be forced to the inside to turn 3, though. Can't do it, has to pick the outside.
He does, and that's not going to happen for him on this occasion. As caution's out, Stouffer's involved. It's in 3 and 4, and the 13 of Stouffer has gone around with 25 laps remaining here this evening. We'll get a replay in a couple of moments' time, but Stouffer is down on pit lane. We may well be down to just 14 on the lead lap at the end of this, as a result of our 6th caution of the day. It's Stouffer who brings it out on this time on lap 149. Now 25 to go. Let's see what happened to him.
Oh, a little bit of contact. I think that was Sirois sending it to the inside. Turns around Stouffer. And poor old Michael O'Brien involved as well. Nothing he could do there. He was just along for the ride. That car was heavily crabbing. So that's going to be down to 13 cars, I think, without damage on the lead lap here. We're slowly hemorrhaging them all away. And the intensity's only ramping up. You saw that happen for about 7th, and it's that intense all the way through the field.
Now, if I could, as by the way, around half of the field now out of the race. Stouffer and Nunez both now out officially. That gives us, from what I can see, only 16 remaining in the session of the 29 that started this race. So a real high attrition rate, which is, I guess, what we expected from the day. But maybe something we didn't expect, and a bit of a statistic for you now. Ever since we started coming to Phoenix here in the Lionheart Retro Series, that was back in Season 1, the race winner has been starting further and further back. This is the 5th edition now, by the way. First time round, it was the pole sitter Adam Blocker who won the race. Jason Galvin won from 3rd in Season 2. Mark Combe won from 8th in Season 3, but while leading the least amount of laps to ever win a race with just 30. And Sage Karen won from 21st 2 seasons ago, back in 2021. Now, Joey, is Phil Krause about to win from 26th, now in Season 7?
I mean, I'm no mathematician, Ewan, but I am certainly a numerologist, and if I like my sequences, I think that'd be pretty satisfying for a lot of us, would be satisfying for Phil Krause. The numbers don't lie.
It would be very satisfying to keep that sequence going, although it makes it very difficult in the next season when we visit Phoenix again for someone to come from further back than 26th on the
last to
grid to win this
first.
race.
Gotta do it.
I mean, it shows that it's possible, doesn't it, around a circuit like this? It's sometimes in IndyCar shown as a circuit where you can't overtake, but you can always overtake in the Lionheart Retro Series, and that's what we're seeing right now, as Krause just slightly concerningly pulls to the apron there. Not sure what
having a little bit of fun, saving some fuel, I think. But also, Ewan, we know in your recent sim racing exploits, you've been kind of skipping out on qualifying. You've been starting at the back of the field. If we get you signed up for this series, maybe start 29th or so, you could be the last to first hero.
I've started a trend. Only I don't do last to first in what you were referencing there. I usually do last to second last, or something along those lines.
Hey, that's progress.
Well, I know, but you can't go backwards from last, so yeah, it's difficult to say it's any sort of achievement. Still 22 laps to go then at the end of this one. It will be a green flag run after this. I guess the question here is, how long is this green flag run going to be?
They've been getting shorter and shorter. You know, the winners have been getting further and further back in the field. The cautions have been getting shorter and shorter. It's kind of like that meme you see about NASCAR races where the first 90% of the race is the first 90% of the race, and then something with math. The green-white checkers are just as long as the rest of the race. But no green-white checkers here, just a lot of restarts.
Take us to the front straight again, and he will get us underway for another 22 laps. 13 cars on the lead lap, and any one of them has a chance of winning. Right now, Phil Krause looks so threatening, though, in second place. That caution, just a little bit of a chance to collect his thoughts and then go for the win. Outside of 3 and 4, it's not going to be this time, but Phil Krause is looking for this lead.
Phil Krause has won 5 times this season. He's had an incredible record, has just had some bad luck in the races he hasn't been winning. That's why he's not in the lead of the championship. But other than that, he has been absolutely fantastic. Looking for win number 6. Zegers looking for win number 1 of the season. Krause to the outside again, trying to build up a run, but he's not able to do it. Zegers doing an incredible job of defensive driving. He does leave a lane to the bottom, so if Krause is going to get very aggressive, he can definitely go down there, but he's not interested in doing that just yet.
The inside has shown itself to be a little bit troublesome on occasion, and maybe that's keeping Krause to the outside. Through 3 and 4, he's searching for that line again. It's not quite happening for him, though. Fontaine is going to gain as a result of this. Harden as well. Cyril was there. So is Rasmus Campbell and Matt Wagner, all involved. It's the top 8 for the lead at the moment.
Krause is going to get a good switchback here. Moves up to the top again. He's going to try and get a run through 3 and 4. He loves that corner. He loves the top there. Doing a little bit of a late apex sort of on the second seam, almost intersecting with the rear wheel of Daniel Zegers into turn 1 again. Zegers is able to carry so much speed down in the bottom. Krause able to carry a little bit more on the top, but still can't stay alongside of him and still can't make the move.
Fontaine still watches from 3rd place, looking for that lane to open. Whether it's going to be right or left, he's ready to dive through it. Hardin looks to hold on to 4th place with Sirois and Campbell side by side behind. Here comes Sean Campbell inside of 1 and 2. Has that later pit stop paid off for the 26th driver, as we've got a crash further behind? It's Drew White in the 15 who brings out our 7th caution of the day.
A little bit of an argument down the front stretch. None of these guys can agree where to go. And then White and Valenzuela and I believe Hugo Galaz just coming together in a little bit of a swerve fest down the front straight. A little bit silly to wreck on a straight, but Drew White comes off the worst of anybody.
Doesn't he just? he'll be a lap down now. Or at least he'll have some repairs to complete, you would imagine. And that will leave us with just 12 on the lead lap. By the way, those who are in the pit lane and maybe returning, well, none of them are going to, from the looks of what I've got at the moment. I can only see, Joey, 12 cars still here, 17 confirmed retirements.
That's a pretty big number. I don't think that would be that wouldn't be a very good party if more than half of the people had left before the end. But maybe I don't go to too many parties. But we've got a dozen. That's a pretty good number, Ewan. There's a lot of good things that come in dozens. Donuts come in dozens, bagels come in dozens, and a fantastic finish could very well come in the dozens when we restart with, I think, a dozen laps to go in 3 laps time.
Donuts don't often come in dozens in the UK, but say that. But for our American viewers, which is most of you, that will make sense.
It does, but you got to go to the in the UK when you're getting donuts. You guys don't have the big portions. You go to the Tesco Express and you get them out of the case, and you got to get them one by one. We got to change that. We got to get the donut culture over there.
Well, you can get packs of 5, but that's
that's such a weird number, 5. Like you go into you see them on sale, and it's like, oh, here's a pack of 5 donuts. That's an odd number. Interesting. I gotta go to the Sainsbury's headquarters and ask them what's up.
The fact that you know so much about England is quite scary sometimes. 15 laps to go, just less than. We'll stop getting quite so sidetracked because we'll be back under green in a few minutes' time. One thing to note though, Joey, Sean Campbell is typing in our YouTube chat saying this is going well. I'm not sure whether that's sarcastic or not. I don't think it is, because it is going quite well for Sean Campbell now.
I mean, it's going well for him, and also that's nothing compared to what he was doing during the 24 hours of Spa. I think he was in the YouTube chat while he was driving at full speed, so at least he's under caution. At least there's a little bit of safety there. No balloons tower defense for him this time. He's learning. He's not going to get banned for texting and racing yet.
I don't know how he does it, honestly. I have trouble flicking.
I think he's got 3 hands, 3 arms.
He must do.
It's like an octopus.
Yeah, because I have trouble flicking from my relative to the fuel and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Figuring out what's there.
Talking and driving, that's hard enough.
That is hard. Sean Campbell is doing very well at it. There we are. He's going to be start from 4th place. It will be 12 laps to go when we get going again. This caution feeling like quite a long time because nobody really has to pit. Only David Rodriguez, who I think still has damage here actually from an earlier crash, and he's intermittently coming in to try and repair as much as that as possible.
Yeah, so there's 11 cars left. So it's less than a dozen now. It's not even a full dozen. Not hopefully we get another caution, but hopefully we see David Rodriguez able to hang on with that damage. Hopefully it isn't just 11 cars with no damage. It's still anybody's game in this top dozen. It might even be David Rodriguez's game with those repairs from the back of the field. If we do get a big crash up front and the door opens, it's possible for anybody. We've seen so much happen, and so much more is going to happen in the next dozen laps.
Yeah, I think it's... I think Rodriguez is going to stay on the lead lap here, but I think he may well struggle to hang on to the back of everybody, unfortunately. But he could surprise us. Let's find out. 12 laps to go in the Majors Garage 175 here at Phoenix. We've had our cautions, 7 of them now, and it's time to go racing, hopefully to the flag without any further trouble. Out front, it's going to be Daniel Zegers who gets us to the green again. Phil Kraus right behind, but it's a good jump from the 88 and a very good jump further back as they all try to preempt the launch from Zegers. Out front, he's strung this field out quite well, but has that given Phil Kraus a golden opportunity to go through?
Here he comes to the outside through 3 and 4. He loves this move, and he knows he's got to make the move as quickly as he can in case we do get another caution. Not able to get the run he needs this time. Going to try and go around the outside through 1 and 2 again, but Zegers is so good on the bottom every single time that Kraus needs to find another way to get by, I think, if he can't do it in 3 and 4.
In towards turn at 3 and 4 now for Zegers. He still hangs on to this lead. Phil Kraus still alongside him. He'll squeeze as much as possible off the turn. Neck and neck at the line. Kraus would have just about had it on that lap. Is he just testing the waters maybe for a last lap pass? Does he now know that he can get through in this way. Is he going to be able to wait there? Because Fontaine and Campbell are side by side for third.
Yeah, that is going to be very savvy for Phil Kraus because he knows he doesn't necessarily have to make the move in 1 and 2. If he can beat Daniel Zegers out of turn 4 and beat him to the line, he will win the race. He doesn't need to beat him through 1 and 2 on the final lap, but I think he still wants to. He still wants to get that track position. He wants to be more comfortable in the lead because he sees that baby blue number 26 behind him of Sean Campbell. He's going to be able to do something magical here potentially and spice up this party even more.
8 to go at the line. Campbell looking for his way through. Kraus and Zegers almost come together on the front straight. The 4-car right up high, but they nearly make contact again in towards turn 1. Zegers holds on again. Campbell looking for his avenue. Fontaine alongside as well. We've still got 9 cars in contention for this. In the leading pack here at Phoenix. Campbell's now involved. Zegers protects the inside line as if his life depends on it. And Sean Campbell goes through the middle, trying to get this lead.
Campbell, I think, was looking at that little bit of a gap that Zegers left to the inside, and that's why he blocked it off more aggressively that time. Campbell sent it 3 wide, didn't work out. Kraus back to the outside. He might have to do it again here. 3 wide, down the front stretch. Kraus going to squeeze down to block off the run from Campbell. He didn't lead at the line that time. It was Zegers.
The 88 leads with 6 to go. It's Fontaine on the outside as Campbell looks to hold on to this 4th now. It's going to be Wright Bazimas and Harden going through here. 3 wide in towards 3 and 4. Has the series leader lost his chance to go through? Will he be able to come back towards the front in this washing machine effect we're seeing at the moment? Kraus outside of 1 and 2 again. At the moment, Daniel Zegers holding on to this lead fantastically.
It's a good metaphor there, the washing machine, because everybody is going to be soaking wet right now with sweat. This is incredibly intense. Phil Kraus to the outside in 3 and 4 again. He's got the run. It looks like he's going to be able to lead at the line this time, but can he recreate that in 4 laps time? Look at Sean Campbell sending it to the inside. Zegers shuts him off, though.
Sean Campbell tried to risk it all there for the lead at turn 1 and 2. Will he just pay for it now with Fontaine and Razimas right behind? It looks like Harden has paid for his efforts. He's down in 7th now, a little bit further back in this train, but here comes Kraus again. He will be very close to leading at the line again. Will he trust this final lap tactic? Will he wait for the very end? We've only got 2.5 laps to find out.
I'd be scared with Sean Campbell behind me because you saw what he was willing to do sending it into turn 1 a lap ago. If he can get a run, this guy is not going to have fear. He's going to look for a hole. He's going to look to the outside here as Kraus gets to the outside. Zegers still blocking off the inside. Campbell getting as close as he can to a bump draft on Phil Kraus. Not able to do it, but this is the closest Phil Kraus has been side by side with Zegers off a 2.
Is he going to get all the way through here? Will he just hold on to this second to try and go through at the very end? Sean Campbell looks for his way past as well through 3 and 4. They're all locked together. 9 in contention as the white flag waves at Phoenix. Kraus to the outside of 1 and 2, looking for the lead of Daniel Zegers. He can't quite get it on this occasion. It's going to have to be a last lap lunge here for Phil Kraus. It's going to have to be the run to the line for the 4-car. He's on the outside again, looking for this win. Daniel Zegers has held on so well, but it's Kraus with the run out the corner. Oh my goodness. Phil Kraus wins it by 1/4 of a second in the closest finish we've ever had at Phoenix in the Lionheart Retro Series. Phil Kraus is your winner.
And Daniel Zegers is going to be ruining the fact that we are at the historic layout of Phoenix here, not the modern layout where the start-finish line is out of turn 2. If that was the case, Daniel Zegers probably would have won that race, but Phil Kraus knew the track, knew where he was strong, and every single time he was able to build that run at a turn 4, and that's what won him that race. He didn't need to lead the whole lap, he just needed to lead out of the final corner.
And almost as if it was no big deal at all, Phil Kraus pulls into pit lane, says, "What do you mean that was close?" He had that in his pocket from a long way out, in his mind anyway. With his 6th win in the Lionheart Retro Series, Phil Kraus wins by just 1/4 of a second. Here are your race results brought to you by Arena. It's Kraus from Zegers at the front with Sean Campbell on the podium. Mike Razimas and Samuel Fontaine inside the top 5 with Ricky Hardin, Cristobal Valenzuela David Sturrow and Matt Wagner all involved in that train. Hugo Galaz in 10th position. They just got disconnected with Samuel Ryman. David Rodriguez struggled with damage towards the end. And then the drivers who didn't see the checkered flag. Drew White, Michael O'Brien, Christopher, Louis Gonzalez, Nunez Dior, pole sitter Alex Guillon, Luke Daniels, Jeff Heisong and Rodrigo Munoz all out of the race inside the top 20, with Tyler Graff, Chris Fowler, Christopher Hill, Andrew Wood, Richard Hearn, Matt Taylor, Jorge Anzaldo, Jimbo Pfeiffer and Craig Forsyth all out of the race and outside of the top 20. And with that, we bring you to your post-race show, brought to you by NLR. And in a couple of moments' time, we'll be down in HyperX Victory Lane to speak to the winning drivers from the Majors Garage 175 here at Phoenix. Daniel Zegers will be wishing it was a 125. Let's bring in Phil Kraus now. We'll talk to him from HyperX Victory Lane. Phil, what a race that was. Quarter of a tenth of a second at the end. Tell us your thoughts after that final green flag run.
I was scared to get near Dan, but you had to get near Dan to be able to actually get past him. So yeah, there was 3 4Xs we got together on that last run alone.
And just how calculated was that final move for the win there? Did you know at one point that if I'm second going on to the final lap, if I'm in this position in the final lap, I'm going to be able to beat him just about to the line? Or was it just a case of, you're trying to get through for the entirety of the race, and in the end you did finally manage it on the last lap?
I mean, it certainly seemed like I was on prior laps, like the last 5-6 laps, I was able to beat him to the line when we were racing back to it. So that was kind of in the back of my head, but there was no real strategy. It was just pull on his rear tire a little bit, not as much as I'd want to, but because of the air. But pull on it a little bit and hope I beat him to the line. But overall, really good result for the Team Talent Squad 1 and 2 today.
And just quickly as well, this is the end of the first half of the Lionheart Retro Series for Season 7 now, 11 rounds complete. What's your when you look back on those first 11 rounds, what's your overall feeling after the first half of the season?
Honestly, probably go into the second half of the season hoping for less mistakes. I think I had 4 DNFs this season so far out of the 11 races, maybe 3, I don't remember quite exactly, but just limit the mistakes and see where that takes us.
We certainly will. Phil, congratulations on winning at Phoenix tonight, and we'll see you for the next round at Mosport.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks very much, Phil Kraus, there in HyperX Victory Lane, taking the win at Phoenix, just ahead of Dan Zegers, who joins us now. Dan, real commiserations to you, I guess, even though it is still second place, and it is to Phil Kraus as well. It is a very, very small margin to lose at the end. Tell us your thoughts about that final lap.
Yeah, man, really good race, with those last 10 laps or so. Keeping an eye off to the right-hand side each time we pass the start-finish line, thinking like, what do I got to do? Do I have to open up turn 3, try and get a little bit of a better run, more side draft or not? Some laps it worked, some laps it didn't. I could see Philip at the nose ahead. So, I think it just comes down to good racing, and he was just faster. But man, I'm still super pumped about P2 to drive up from outside the top 10 from kind of a lackluster qualifying and keep the car clean. It was a lot of fun.
It does seem that this race lends itself to those who don't qualify so well. I mean, Kraus himself started from 26th today, or 25th, around that kind of region, a very long way back. Yourself starting quite a long way down. Sean Campbell didn't have an outstanding qualifying, even though he was inside the top 10. And you all ended up on the podium. What do you think it is about this racetrack that allows you to rise up through the order, even if you don't qualify so well?
Well, I'd like to say it's driver skill, but I don't know if I'd go that far. We got really lucky, Phil and I did, with cautions, timing that right, getting our fuel numbers right and then trying to save and being able to still be upside in the top 10 there when we're saving a little bit. And then, yeah, we got the attrition at the right times. So, I mean, obviously with any race, keeping your nose clean goes a long way and still trying to be a little bit aggressive, but not forcing the issue. I think all three of us did that extremely well, and yeah, it pays off.
Certainly does. Well, I'm going to give you some credit for driver skill, Dan. Congratulations on second place. Very well driven, and thanks for chatting to us after the race as well.
Yeah, thanks guys for putting that on. Incredible job up in the booth as always, and big shout out to Lean Techniques sponsoring the car out of the Johnson, Iowa. Paints by Tuna Can. And then big shout outs to HyperX for the free gear for this league. Phenomenal product. And then Butt Kicker and Next Level Racing too for throwing in some awesome prizes for Lionheart. So thanks for all you guys do. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Dan Zager's second place here today at Phoenix, just ahead of Sean Campbell, who also joins us now to hold on to his series points lead. Sean, welcome in. It was a close race at the end. You couldn't quite get yourself involved, though, in that battle with the front two. If you look back on that race, is there anything else you could have done to try and get involved with the top two?
I think personally when the split happened where the pit, when everybody pitted and the front couple of us did not, was probably the only thing. I feel like other than that, it was a good race. But it's a tale as old as time, right? When the teammates get in the lead. And I mean, it was a good race, but I tried as hard as I could to get by them. I was getting a little desperate at the end with the 3 wides, but I'd practiced that.
And in the end, you couldn't quite get there. A fair amount of cautions today, I would say, but not overly loads. Was it maybe less chaotic or more chaotic than you expected?
I'll be honest, from hearing what everybody was saying on the week leading up to this track, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Honestly, I didn't realize the attrition was that bad until I looked at the results. And even then, as far as races as I've done at Phoenix, it's not actually that bad.
Yes, it's what, 12 out of 17 getting to the flag, getting to the end on the lead lap. Still fairly severe. Just quickly, Sean, tell us your thoughts on the first half of the season since you just held on to the points lead.
It's been good, I think. It's been comfortable. I'd say for everybody. I think I speak for everyone. But it's more focused on doing what you need to do. I think the back half of the season is going to get more chaotic because people are going to start scrambling for points where they need it to try and get the edge.
Well, let's see. Still second half of the season to come. Sean, you'll head into it with the points league. Congratulations on that. And a third place here tonight at Phoenix. And thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Sean Campbell there, third place tonight here at Phoenix. And that was just about do it for us here tonight. Joey, a fantastic race, I've got to say. The Majors Garage 175 absolutely delivering. And the closest finish we've ever had in the Lionheart Retro Series at Phoenix Raceway.
And more than delivered. I mean, how else can you wrap up a race like that? The finish speaks for itself. So close, so smart from Phil Kraus there, and so well organized from those two teammates to give each other the respect they needed to get a 1-2, hold Sean Campbell off. I mean, your morning is just starting, you, and so I don't know how you could back up the rest of the day, but this is a nightcap for my night and many people at home. And what better way to end tonight as we go to the second half of the season starting in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, one last look at our Next Level Racing schedule here for the Lionheart Retro Series. It'll be Mosport coming up in 2 weeks' time, and then another couple of weeks until we get to Barber Motorsports Park, as well as Phillip Island a few weeks after that. Next oval will be Michigan at the end of September. We've still got Milwaukee, Nashville and Gateway and Auto Club Speedway to come as well. So still enough for you oval fans, but a little bit more tilted towards the roadside coming up over the course of the next 6 months or so as we end the Lionheart Retro Series. Well, another new closest finish added to the list. The 13th closest finish in the Lionheart Retro Series. If you thought that was exciting, there were 12 finishes closer than that. It was not even Phil Krause's closest finish. He beat Sean Campbell to Homestead victory in the very first race of this season. It was even closer than the one we've seen tonight. A great race, and thanks to all who have been watching this evening. Make sure you go check out the sponsors and partners that make this broadcast possible and make the Lionheart Retro Series in 2023 possible here, because it's been a wonderful race once again. As I said, big thanks to everybody who has been tuned in here this evening. It's been a pleasure to be along with you for the Majors Garage 175 here from Phoenix. Round 11 of the Lionheart Retro Series for 2023. We'll be signing off here from RaceSpotTV, though right now it's been me, Ewan O'Leary, with Joey Tevin alongside, and Hugo Louise behind the cameras all evening long. And we will leave you with the shots of Phil Krause having won this race in the desert tonight. It's his day in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks very much for watching, and from all of us here at RaceSpotTV, it's goodbye for now.